when it comes to like depression, it's a lot that could be said about this, man, because personally,
So it's like all of that, bam, bam, like I'm just taking shots, and I didn't really have an answer for why things were happening the way they were happening.
did you consider killing yourself?
I began to live a lot more recklessly.
Welcome y'all to another episode of the Presidential Executive. What's going on? This your boy right here, JB. This is my boy over here, El Presidente Rag. What's going on, my boy?
What's going on, brother?
Man, another beautiful day, man.
Yes, sir.
Another beautiful day. Y'all go ahead and like this video right now. Go ahead and subscribe wherever that you stream podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Stitcher. So what it do, man? You know what I'm saying? You got my god kids over here right now. You know what I'm saying? Got the twinsies. You know what I mean?
Doing the most.
Yes, sir. Oh, Chaz was talking, boy.
Man, my aunt said he be speaking in tongues right now.
Yeah, that would have
like he say a lot. We don't know what he's saying, but whatever it is, he say a lot.
Yeah, he definitely mean it. Whatever he's saying.
Oh, he say it from the chest.
Yeah, he definitely mean it. But yeah, man, we got the episode out right now with Broke Fathers. Can Broke Fathers be great
in 2024?
2024, and definitely been getting some comments I've been seeing on the actual video, and some people been hitting me up personally just to I got a little issue with, I guess more probably my perspective more so. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I was kind of two 2v1, as Kendrick would say. You know what I'm saying? A little bit.
I get where you were coming from.
Yeah.
You were more so speaking that you understand the benefit of having finances or wealth or being in a good financial position. So you weren't saying that somebody can be great. You were just saying that in your own personal life, it made a difference, and difference might not have been made had y'all not had the means and the finances to do that.
Right. Definitely. So it's definitely an interesting subject because I've talked to Rachel about it. I brought this up to Zarina just to see what they were going to say. You know what I mean? So they had their views and opinions on it. So it was an intriguing conversation, I think, all the way around. So, and this right here is going to be another intriguing conversation because we kind of debated on whether we're going to have a guest on or not. But, although we appreciate the guests and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying, we kind of, this is kind of the dynamic. We kind of do our own thing, kind of when it comes to this. But when it comes to like depression, it's a lot that could be said about this, man, because personally, man, I don't know. You can maybe speak on it. I don't know if I know I felt disappointment to a degree, frustration, but being depressed, I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying? Just like certain things, you may feel that you don't know what you're actually feeling or going through, that you may have experienced it. But I know a plethora of examples, circumstances that I've seen. I think I told you, I remember vividly, this is probably 10, 12 years ago. It was a person in the clergy in Georgia that he had a wife and kids of 4 kids, and famous enough pastor, not like Creflo Dollar or anything like that, but he killed himself after a service Sunday. And just the thing about it, like he was, from what they were saying, like he was kind of stressed about the situation, had young kids, probably around the kids my age and stuff like that, the kids that I have now, a wife, and then a lot of stuff with the first lady stuff. She was like, I don't want to say, just like very opinionated, boisterous and stuff like that. And so, he basically just did this. So I think he was maybe in his late 30s or early 40s.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, at the time when I heard about it, I wasn't married yet and stuff like that. So when I heard about it, I was like, dang, why would somebody, you know what I'm saying, want to, do that? You know what I'm saying?
And especially in that field.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And so, it makes you think, it makes you wonder. And then as the times continue to go on, you see a lot of stuff that we deal with today in this culture with social media. You dealing with, I think is programmed into the system. I think, basically because on a daily basis, depending how you look at the perspective, you're comparing yourself to others.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or if you're at a certain piece in a certain place, and you know what I mean. We were talking to Marlo the other week when we were talking about the broke father piece. I know Rob was talking about, he was kind of like, how dare you? I don't know what you do for a living and stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We know Rob, but other people can take it to a degree to where it can make them feel a certain way, to make them maybe go into some type of depression, to be like, I'm 44 or 45 years old. I'm not where I thought I would be at this lot in life and stuff like that. So it's a big subject, man. So hopefully we can tackle some of those pieces, because it can go surface deep. You know what I'm saying? Real deep. You know what I mean when it comes to that. So what is your experience with kind of like depression? What you've been through?
Well, I mean, because that was back in
Yeah.
'08. You know what I'm saying? Like if it wasn't for your pops and you and man, Keenan, just the circle that I had around, because everything that was going on in my like just getting hit one after another, you know what I'm saying, from my grandmother passing to my homeboy, our homeboy, ending his life, marriage falling apart, her having an abortion, what I'm like, all of that, and then coupled with the stuff I was going through, at the church at the time.
Yeah.
So it's like all of that, bam, like I'm just taking shots, and I didn't really have an answer for why things were happening the way they were happening, why I was going through the things I was going through. It's like I didn't have a chance to breathe almost. It's like while I'm dealing with one thing, I'm getting hit with something else.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it was like, I want to say it was kind of the stuff with the church kind of happened first. So like while I'm dealing with that, you know what I'm saying, then my grandmother passes. So I'm still coping with the church stuff, and my grandmother passed, and then while I'm dealing with that.
And that's the one that gets you the car.
No, that was my dad's one. No, that was the one that had been an invalid for 10 years.
Okay.
And then so that happened. So while I'm trying to process both of those things, then my homeboy situation happened. So you talking about April, May, June, marriage fall apart in July, abortion happened in August. Like had the surgery in November, and then that's when I started taking the painkillers and stuff like that as a side effect of the surgery, and that just had me really, zombified, because I'm taking, man, they had prescribed me like Percocet, Oxycontin. I'm taking not the regular Tylenol. Tylenol the pharmacist got to go behind the counter to get, you know what I'm saying? And so, man, that was just a rough period of my life. And again, I was fortunate and blessed to have people that saw and recognized that I really was just finna be introverted, into myself, and was just like, nah. And the crazy thing is, the people who was pulling me like to kind of beat it themselves anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like you and Ken, y'all like to beat it y'allselves anyway. Y'all was like, nah, come on, let's go here, let's do this. Hey, we watching the game, come on over. Hey, we on for next. Like you constantly hitting me up, like, hey, we watching the game again Sunday. So like, I'm looking forward to, okay, well, I got to be around because we're gonna be watching the games next Sunday. So it's Thursday, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, okay, I got to hold on till Sunday because we're gonna be watching the games, on Sunday. So
just for the people, like, did you consider killing yourself? Because that's kind of like a side effect of, or maybe not a side effect, but something attached to depression, I guess, depending how severely that it is, that you maybe can consider that.
I got to a place the next, I would say, 3 years, and it did culminate in me ODing in 2011.
Yep.
I began to live a lot more recklessly. I didn't necessarily was like, I'm gonna do something to kill myself, but I just didn't care, about life anymore. So just like doing all types of stuff, not really caring, put myself in situations, being in places that normally I'd be like, nah, I'm straight going here, doing things like, nah, I'm like just not really caring. And it's like, if I go, I go. Like, that was kind of my mentality.
Yeah. Now, because going to places like that, because you see, I mean, just looking at the world at large, we see a week or two ago, we see that pro golfer,
Grayson
Murray, he passed through suicide. I think he was only 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so, and if you know anything about golf, the golf industry, you know what I'm saying? Even if you're top 30, I don't think he was like a top 5 or top 10 golfer, but he was like somewhere like in the top 50, top 60 players in the world.
No, because I want to say he was in that tournament they just had. He just withdrew early.
The PGA, yeah. Like, he was well off financially, but I think his parents or family came out and knew that he's been struggling for years. You know what I'm saying? Kind of what he's been going through. And so it's like everybody has their perspective. Like, when we live how we live and we say, like, we're talking, I think, on one of the episodes a week or two ago, like, if we had, I think with Draymond was like, if we had $20,000-$50,000, you know what I'm saying? More to than what we already had, what we would do with it, how we could invest, how we could do something like that. And so
177 million.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but we're looking at people that are financially well or financially healthy. It's like, you think about, like, why would you do something like that? You know what I'm saying? That's the old me years ago thinking about that. But then as you, what your grand folks say, your uncle, like, you keep on living.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you see certain things, certain stuff now at 42 years old. I looking back at my dad, obviously he's passed on, but it's like I have more appreciation for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because of, like, dude, like, dealing with what he had to deal with me and Zarina, 2 kids that not biologically his own, but still put him in, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Having that whole thing of, he was a preacher going to the church, and at the time he wasn't working, you know what I'm saying? So he was looked at a certain way by the outside, like a woman taking care of you, this and that, you know what I mean? So it's like, looking as a 42-year-old man now, you see the pressure that obviously as a kid I don't see personally. All you see is your dad playing with you, taking you here and there and doing stuff like that. But then you, like I said, we keep living, and you see we got your twins downstairs, and you know what I'm saying? Like, they see you being a provider, being there for them, feeding them, making them taking a nap, giving them a joke or two or something like that. They don't see the pressure on your back on a daily basis to do certain things. You know what I mean? And so it's like, now at this age, we humanize. Like, I'm having a greater respect, especially for my dad. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, he went through a lot at the time, and so back then, therapy and mental health wasn't even a thing. It's like, nigga, you deal with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You tough it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody want to hear it. X, Y, and Z. So it's like, so what do you think about the state of depression as of like today? Because it can be just a little bit different, because a lot of people can, like, lead on. I think we talked about too with Simone Biles, with, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Mental health can kind of become an excuse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily something that's like really like, really vital or severe. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do we deal with depression, like in today, where we see like a golfer that's pretty much, they say he was a 2-time PGA Tour winner. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that's, like you said, that's pretty significant in that field or in that sport. Right. Mm-hmm. And so obviously I think he had a girlfriend, 30 years old, had a life ahead of him. And so, like, what probably makes somebody do something like that at that stage of their career when it seems like they have everything at their feet, at the moment?
I mean, we can think people got everything together.
Yeah.
And secretly they're tormented.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's things in our past that we haven't forgiven ourselves for. Like, sometimes it's things beyond our control You know, like we put other people's weight on us. Like, and I know you referenced the clergyman earlier, but it was another one. Within I know the last 8 years or so, maybe. But it was kind of a similar situation. But it was just the weight of the congregation and people's stuff, and you got to be strong for so many other people, and it's just like, I can't take this. And a lot of times you don't see it. You see the person smiling after church every Sunday. Oh, all right, brother, you know, good to see you. And you don't know that person is like torn up inside. And so like we look at cats like I mean, everybody remember Aladdin, the Genie, Mrs. Doubtfire, Robin Williams. People didn't know, especially like when he started going through I believe it was like early stages of dementia. But like that depression he began to feel because it's like his ability to memorize stuff. You know what I'm saying? All of the voices and characters he had and memorizing his lines, and like now I can't do my livelihood. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't be who all of these people expect me to be.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And it's like, and so when he took his life, people was like, oh, you know, he was always making people laugh. He was so, you know, and I mean, we can go down the line. Like I was telling you, like the comedian of the old show that used to come on with like around the time Sanford and Son, Chico and the Man. But the guy who played as Chico and Chico and the Man, Freddie Prinze. And his son was, you know, Freddie Prinze Jr. from the Scooby-Doo movies. And I believe I Know What You Did Last Summer and She's All That. But he was a baby at the time his dad ended his life. But again, he felt this depression because he felt the weight. He felt like all the Hispanic people was on him because he was this 22-year-old guy with the world at his feet. You know, you got a top 5 show. You're in movies. You know what I'm saying? You're co-hosting when Johnny Carson goes on, you know, Take a Day. You co-host a Tonight Show for him when he takes a day, you know, once a week. You're on the cover of all these magazines, but you feel this weight of like, if I fail, I'm messing it up for all, you know, Hispanic and Latino people. You see what I'm saying? Or like Robin Williams, I can't make the people laugh anymore. And we don't know what Grayson Murray was dealing with. You know what I'm saying? But like with our homeboy, like with Chaz, like what he was dealing with, the weight that he had on him, you know, he was depressed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like my cousin Rico, you was in the house when 3 of your family members got killed. And he was trying to kill you too. And in the next 6 years, you were just constantly at a fight with yourself of why was I spared? Why was I the only one left alive?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that ate him up. Like he just couldn't wrap his mind around it. So Grayson Murray's situation might be different from Robin Williams or Freddie Prinze or Chaz or my cousin Rico or anybody else that we know. But the bottom line, the underlying thing is that they all were going through some things that unless they talked to you on the one-on-one, you wouldn't have known they was going through.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think she just recently passed. I don't know if you remember a girl named Mandiza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. From American Idol.
From American Idol. One of them shows. Yeah, probably American Idol. She recently passed. Now they came out with I think an autopsy. They said that she passed from obesity or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because she, for years. Overcomer, that was her biggest single.
Right.
She always dealt with depression for years and years years. And I think, I don't know, they found her in the bathtub or something in her house for days, like nobody like heard from her or whatever. And so I've seen a lot of celebrities, like they be on the talk shows talking about they overcome like the depression piece. It's like, but it's an ongoing thing, bro. Like even for us spiritually, we talking about, you know, being followers of Jesus and stuff like that. Like that don't even matter. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what I'm saying? It can still come against you, you know, to a certain degree. Like we know the testimony of Deion Sanders.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He tried to commit suicide, but it didn't work. I think he was playing for the Cincinnati Reds or whatever. He tried to go off a bridge and, you know, literally tried to kill himself, but he said it didn't work. So that's how he became, you know, really a Christian. You know what I'm saying? You know, off that incident and stuff. But he had everything. I think that was when he was with the 49ers.
Right.
He had all this stuff, but he was depressed. You know what I'm saying? Playing in the Super Bowl and the World Series, but he was depressed internally. Like I think he had a couple stuff he was talking about. Like he had 3 women in the bed waking up in the morning, like all the money in the world, a 15,000 square foot house. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff. And like he said, only person that loved me was my kids, I thought. Everybody else was using me and abusing me, didn't care anything about me. And so it's like, clearly we talking about depression. I think it's definitely like a spirit attached to that really like takes you there to really convince you like nigga, nobody wants you here. You know what I'm saying? Your daddy don't like you, your mama don't like you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like let's go ahead and do it. You know what I mean? Because I've heard, I think it was at Breath one time, and I was telling Rachel, because you know we go to Divine Life now, and so they kind of big on deliverance, and it's, you know, it's kind of intense sometimes and stuff, and so she never witnessed stuff like that before. And I was telling her, like, you went to Breath before. 'Cause I remember being at Breath and seeing certain people, stuff coming out their mouth and stuff like that, you know. But I guess she never witnessed it. But I was like, it's deep. You know what I'm saying? If you witness stuff like that, people throwing up a glob or something or whatever, or foaming at the mouth and stuff, it's like, it's way different. And so we know it's something attached to the depression thing, but it's like going through this. I'm thinking of the dude, the original host of Family Feud.
Right.
He committed.
Right.
I don't know his name.
Yeah.
He committed suicide years ago.
Oh, was it Richard?
I can't even think of his name.
Richard Dawson, I think.
He committed suicide at a fairly young age, because he was the guy. Because I remember this year, I was at my grandma's house and I heard this.
Yeah, no, yeah, he was like one of the, if not the first one, the second one. But I want to say he might, at that point he had been, Richard Dawson.
Richard Dawson.
That was him.
Okay. Yeah. I remember him.
No, because he died in 2012. So no, it wasn't Richard Dawson.
It wasn't him. This was like maybe
he was one of the.
I don't know when it was. But it's just a lot of
Ray Combs.
Ray Combs?
Yeah, Ray Combs.
Okay.
And he was 40 years old. June 2nd, 1996.
Yep. Yeah, like stuff like that, man. It's like when you see and like hear, you know, stuff like that. Like people go through stuff. Like me having 4 kids, you know, is I think I'm sure I mentioned it before on this pod. Like Rachel had, was it after you get pregnant, the postpartum. You know what I'm saying? The postpartum depression stuff. And so, you know, it's a lot of things. I think you had a stat, I don't know if it's on camera or off camera, of like how big depression is, like as far as cause of death or suicide or stuff like that. Like it's pretty high. You know what I mean? As far as depression, heart attack, cancer. Obviously, you know, cancer is probably up there, probably number one. Just because of the money maker that it is around here, but like suicide and depression, you know, plays a big part too, just because, like you said, you don't know what people are actually going through, but it's like somebody got to be talking to you to convince you like this is the best option. You feel me?
Right.
Because it's like, you know, just for me, like a lot of areas, like I think of my kids, I think of, you know, the other side, you know, of it, to where it kind of pulls you back a little bit. Like this ain't it. Like all this stuff we into now, like this ain't it. But it's like people that don't have maybe that perspective or view. It's like I said, even if you have Jesus and stuff, like it's still tough. But if you don't have that peace, it's like it's almost feel like you're doomed because you ain't got no hope.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So obviously you just gonna go ahead and do whatever your conscience or whatever, you know what I'm saying, say do. Because the girl, I think with Nickelodeon, the girl she was on that documentary, the girl that came after all that, the Amanda girl.
Oh, Amanda Bynes.
Amanda Bynes. She had depression. I think she's not in the forefront anymore because she was known to have like some type of disorder or maybe schizophrenia or something like that.
Right.
Depression from, I guess, maybe her experiences that she was going through with Nickelodeon. So it's like, yeah, it's a whole different piece, man.
I mean, like, for me, and I know you said like you think about the piece of like, your kids and stuff. Like for me, it was just like I didn't want to go before. I didn't want my parents to have to bury their son. You know what I'm saying? Now if it happened because I was just on some bullshit or whatever, then that's one thing. But like because I did it, I was in control of it.
Yeah.
Directly, like I didn't want to have them bury their son and have to live with that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's on their mind for the remainder of their days that they had to bury their son. And then now, having multiple children is like, okay,
yeah,
I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to be in no position where now, my kids start questioning themselves or, because if you get sick or something, that's one thing.
Yeah.
If it's a random accident, that's another thing. But like when you do that, then now you leave everybody around you with questions that they can't answer. You know what I'm saying? Like
they can be just like their daddy.
Right.
Like if I'm feeling a certain type of way, depression, and I know my dad offed himself, like dang, I know my daddy did it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
and that's a spirit, like I don't know, they made a movie called recently it came out, I think either beginning of this year or the end of last year, called Iron Claw. But it was like about the Von Erich family. In the Von Erich family, this is back in the territory days of wrestling. But they were based out of Texas. And so like, I don't know if you remember back in the day when like Mr. Perfect and Rick Rude and all them was in WWE. There was a guy named the Texas Tornado.
Yeah.
The Texas Tornado was one of the Von Erichs. His name was Kerry Von Erich. But he was known as the Texas Tornado. But like from the dad to like 4 of the sons, all committed suicide. And it was like, and then they found out when they researched, it was like either his dad or his brother or something like that. Like that was a spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like to the point where, like again, you got one son. Well, now one son, I think he died. It wasn't suicide. It was some type of internal thing. But then like right after him, like everybody else, committed suicide. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a thing of like, and then like, it was like the one brother that's still living. They find out, the dad a few years after the last son that committed suicide, like the dad killed himself. You know what I'm saying? Then they started researching and it was like, I want to say either the granddad or the uncle or somebody, but it was somebody else prior to the dad some years earlier. And it was like, that was just in the family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it was just like, and again, like that movie, I'm not pubbing the movie because I actually haven't seen it. I'm a big wrestling fan, but the name of the movie is called Iron Claw. But it's based about that family. And it's not just a wrestling movie, but it's like, it chronicles like that family and the way the brothers, what led them to that. But like here you have a whole family and they were called like the first family of wrestling because, like I said, the dad was a wrestler, then like all his sons was wrestling, and they pretty much, people who knew them was like, man, they could get pulled over, drugs in the car in Texas. Like the sheriff was just gonna be like, oh, he's such and such Von Erich, man, go about your way. Oh, this JB Von Erich, oh, you good, man, you know what, you need to stop doing that, man, go on, get home. Like that's how much they had it made in Texas. Like they could be in the midst of committing a crime and like they would get a pass because of who they were and who their dad was in the state of Texas. You know what I'm saying?
And they still end up doing that.
Yeah.
Committing suicide with that. And I was thinking of Chris Benoit.
Yeah, there's another one.
I think domestic stuff. I think he ended up hanging himself. They found him in the house hanging himself like stories high.
With like the weight, man. It was like one of those cables.
Like, some around his
from
neck.
Like the, I guess like a Bowflex almost.
Yeah.
Like one of those metal cable things. Like.
Yeah. They said he was hanging from the house. And it's like, I'm thinking of Bret Hart, Owen Hart. The one of them, or both of them did.
Well, no. So Owen, Owen died in the ring. Actually,
in the ring. Okay, one of them died in the ring. Okay. Well, I thought one of them committed suicide too.
Nah, it's a lot of wrestlers who did.
Yeah, I know a lot of them. Yeah, kind of did.
No, it was the big one. Big one was Chris Benoit. But like if you watched WCW, WWF, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, like go down the list of the ones who passed away, and it was either ODing, accidental ODing, or things like, hanging themselves, shooting themselves. Football player Junior Seau.
Yeah.
What
they were saying, I know they were saying he had CTE.
Right. But it was talking about his depression though.
Yeah.
And I forget who it was that I think it was Channing Crowder, because he played with him in Miami, and he said like Junior was the guy who never had to tell people no, and he was always able to take care of everybody and do stuff for everybody. And he got to a place where he couldn't do stuff, where he had to tell people no. And he couldn't do stuff for everybody because, you're going through a divorce, and now you got to have your money over here. You got to make sure you're taking care of your kids, and you're doing the stuff on TV, but your money a little different now. Now you got to say you can't take care of everybody.
Because I look at it to the point now, it's like, obviously we know on social media, we said on here, a lot of people be looking for attention, be saying this and that, but it's like, it's almost like you can't take it for granted anymore. Like, so if I see somebody on there that I know I went to high school with, and they just kind of be like, pop up, I don't want to live anymore. I'm just like, I'm feeling a certain way. Like, I ought to shoot my DM or something. Like, you good? Like, you need to talk. And actually, somebody reached out to me back when I was like, nah, I'm, going through something, and I'm going through a divorce, and, it's like you don't want to take it for granted, because we know people that we know went to high school with and went to college with, soon as they pass, so-and-so passed, and so now we want to act like we've been keeping in touch with them for years, and you know what I'm saying? And so you've been around, and you kind of seeing, some of the signs of some of the stuff they've been on, and it's like, we could have reached out, maybe to them. So that's what I think about now, because I've seen too many people I went to high school with and went to college with that have showed the symptoms of being like depressed and like not being in a good space in life to where they thought they was going to be. And so it's like you may need to reach out, or some of the stuff that I believe Holy Spirit had me to say on some of my posts sometime, just to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know who it is. Some of it's for me, some of it may be for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? To really, kind of put that out there, because just like you said, when it was off camera, like certain stuff just seemed like a setup. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff you may have a regular skin condition or something, but then the drugs that they prescribe to you, cause, what I'm saying, some of this depression and stuff, and this is legal. You know what I'm saying? And so now it's like, what are we doing? Like, what is this like? And prevalent, like which community does this really hit? Depression. Like, I don't know the stats. I really don't know. I'm just kind of asking. Maybe I can look it up. But I don't know, like, the stats. It could be even, because obviously we only make up 13, 14% of the country. So, I mean,
I don't know. So, like, the only reason I've never gone off of that is because they based it off of the census.
Okay.
So you got to factor in, like, there's a lot of people that don't respond or answer the door when the census taker comes because they think it's a bill collector.
That's me.
So you're not getting them people.
Yeah.
You're also not getting people that may have warrants or things like that, because the way they think that works is when they take a record of me being here, then now they gonna come get me because I got warrants or I got felt. So a lot of those people are not counting, and you also got to keep in mind they're probably also not counting. They only count them when, look at how many of y'all in prison. They count us then, but those people don't make up the population when they're saying the 13%.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now again, I don't think it's nowhere close to 40, but I think it's closer to like 25 in actuality. But that's still not
what side you talking about? Like,
I mean, in terms of us making up the population, I think it's closer to 25%.
Okay.
I just think that the 13% is the people who actually take the census, the people who are not, felons and that's got warrants, and the people who are not in the system.
Yeah.
But to your point,
yeah,
I don't know that it's just our community. I just think it goes back to you're creating your own customer base.
Yeah.
Because now, and again, I don't shit on the medical field, man. You did what the few and the proud, what a lot of people are not able to do. You went through a lot of school. You got to pay back a lot of loans if you didn't come from a family that had the money to put you through that. But it's like my mom, when she was taking the blood pressure medication, she started off taking one thing. The one thing had side effects, so she had to take 2 other things to combat the side effects of the first thing. Then she had to take 2 more to combat the side effects of the 2. By the time it was all said and done, she was taking like 13 different pills a day. Only one of them was for the blood pressure. The other 12 was dealing with side effects caused by
from
the first thing and then the other stuff she was taking, until it got to a point where she was just like, I got to change my diet. I got to exercise because I'm in a worse position now than I was initially because of the side effects. And now I'm taking all of this stuff and I can't even function in the daytime because I got to remember to take 13 different pills every day.
And the other side getting paid on it.
You see what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, because my dad, this the same way. Because I asked the doctors because he was taking blood pressure medicine. Now he had to take a steroid. And then he had to take, you know what I'm saying, some to take off the pressure from the blood pressure. He had to take a water pill. You know what I mean? So it was just like
a sodium pill.
So I'm just like, why are you taking all these pills? Like, it's just pretty. It's just a Band-Aid to just get you to the next day. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's slowly walking you down and giving you something to where, like I said, I told you, we said this in season 1, like seeing what my dad went through really opened my eyes to the whole medical industry. You know what I'm saying? Because I saw, and that's when the Bang Bang and everything else was coming out and stuff, and so it was just a full circle thing of like, these folks don't really care about, you know what I'm saying, how we function. You know what I'm saying? They want to put a Band-Aid on it. They don't necessarily want to cure us. They want us to keep us coming back and back and back. And we know people that's in that field. We know B. Hall works at the hospital up the street and stuff. Like he has a heart for the industry and stuff like that. So it's no knock on the people that's actually in that industry.
You know, my 2 cousins, one of them married somebody we grew up with at Breath, but Chris and Ashada Knight. Ashada used to be Freshwater, but her parents are dentists. You know what I'm saying? And Ashada is her and her sister. You know, her and Kiswana are doctors, and then she married my cousin Chris. They're both doctors, and his brother Brian Knight, he's also a doctor. Like, I got family that's in the, you know what I'm saying? Right. We ain't shitting on the medical field. Like,
it just is what it is. It's just because now we talking about, it's, you know, that big word agenda.
Right.
You know what I mean? To where it's like, okay, now you hitting us not only with the prescribed legal stuff, but then also it's like, who owns the social media stuff? And that's to where it's like, because social media, if you look at it the proper way, it can be, you just can't be on it if it's really hitting you that way. You know what I mean? With certain people, we've heard many stories online, on, you know, TV, of people killing themselves because of comments from social media, people not liking the way they go and stuff like that. It's something attached to that, and it's like, it's almost like but we can't. It's almost hard to live without social media in a sense, because honestly, for me, I get my news kind of from social media or from podcasts or YouTube, you know what I'm saying, before it hits, you know, the regular news or the newspaper, whatever else that you get. And so it's like, but also you have to compartmentalize certain stuff, because I can't look at, you know, social media to a degree to where I'm trying to compare myself to it.
Right.
But you got to stop yourself. Like I said, sometimes it just happens. We in the content creating space, and so it's like, to a degree, you have to compare yourself to a degree to try to grow, but then you got to pull yourself back to a certain degree too, to not get so involved in it to where now it's affecting, you know what I'm saying, how you live your regular life day to day.
I think that this kind of aids also on the depression calls it's an old saying that goes comparison is the enemy of contentment.
Yep.
In other words, like you can have like the perfect woman, or you could have the perfect man for you till you start looking at somebody else's woman, or till you start looking at somebody else's husband. Then now all of a sudden,
yep,
ain't nothing wrong with your husband, ain't nothing wrong with your wife, but because you're comparing your situation or the way somebody else move in their situation, and you're not considering that works for them, you start looking at, oh, well, how come my wife don't make this? How come she don't do this to me? How come my husband don't work at this kind of job? How come he don't drive this kind of car? And so a lot of people get into a space because we start looking and sizing ourselves. We start basing our self-worth and our value based on what we see other people doing and how we see other people moving, as opposed to, am I doing the best with what I have and where I am? Because if I am, that's all that matters. But if I start comparing myself to the next person, situation, it was a movie that came out, I know the last 10 to 15 years is called, I believe it's called Keeping Up with the Joneses. But the premise of it was like that this company would send this made up family into a town. Mm-hmm. They come in, they buy a big house, and basically they was like product testing. So like, the husband will come 1 week driving this car, the next week he come driving a brand new car. Well, now all the men in the neighborhood like, hey man, what kind of car is that, man? What kind of features? So now they go out, get the car. They see his watch. Oh man, what kind of watch is that? And so people was like trying to keep up with them. Their last name was Jones. And so one of the guys end up going into so much debt trying to because his wife was like, every time it's like, okay, they got this car, man, we getting left behind. This car is last week.
Yeah.
And dude ended up going into debt, and he ended up killing himself because he didn't know how he could pay all that debt back.
Yeah.
But again, comparison is like, I'm trying to get what you got. I'm trying to move how you moving. Wasn't nothing wrong with their house. Wasn't nothing wrong with their cars. Wasn't nothing wrong. Their kids was happy, but you looking at what somebody else got and what somebody else is doing.
Yeah.
And so now, how can I make this happen? And it kind of goes back to, our other homeboy. He didn't end up taking his life, but that feeling of unworthiness.
Yeah.
Because I can't give $100, I can't give $1,000 offering, so my offering ain't good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it. That's bullshit.
Yeah. For real.
That is bullshit.
Yeah.
And when we know better, we supposed to do better.
Mm-hmm.
But if you using the platform and you telling somebody they not gonna get a blessing because they don't have $100, $50, $10, $5 offering, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Cause some of them same people that was giving them type of offerings, what their marriages look like right now.
Yeah.
What their kids look like right now.
Yeah.
That's all. But you worthy because you gave this. You thought you was doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when we know better, we do better. But a lot of times, comparison, the enemy of contentment, we are following the trend because we're in a certain, the word of faith community. Like, oh well, this congregation doing it, well, this pastor's doing it. Mm-hmm. This is what we doing.
Yeah. Now it brings up to another point. Like, it's a lot of factors. We talk about the medical field. We talk about obviously we talking about the entertainment, but then the place where a lot of people get their foundation from, the spiritual side, or the church. Mm-hmm. Like, the church has probably a lot to do with some of the people having depression as well, because not only if, like, sometimes, like, I remember being at conference and stuff, it's like, oh, this person gave $1,000 offering and I ain't have $1,000 given, so I can't get that extra blessing or whatever they said that was attached to giving that 1,000. You know what I mean? And so now they feel in a certain type of way. You know what I mean? And so it's just, even when we talking about the clergy, which that's why I gave credit to Creflo Dollar to kind of admitting that he was, not in the, in error, I guess, wrong with teaching certain degrees of the tithe and stuff like that, because, you know what I'm saying? It's like it was humanizing, people of the clergy and ministers, stuff like that, because when you don't humanize stuff, people like that, like you can easily idolize your man of God. You know what I'm saying? I think when you start idolizing it, you will start comparing. And when you start comparing, you'll be like, well, dang, why he doing all this? How he doing all this? And I'm giving all this and I'm doing all that. And I'm not, lining up to what he said I should be. You know what I mean? So it's like you get it on all sides, whether that's, in your regular workplace, you know what I'm saying? You getting at church, you getting it from the medical field, because a lot of them side effects that you get from certain pills and stuff like that probably do have depression as a side effect of it. So what are you supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? When I got my wisdom teeth out, you know what I mean? Like them pills, it made me feel great. You know what I'm saying? Mix that with some hen or something like that. Like I'm on cloud 9. Like you feeling like
no
real
pain
good.
At all.
No pain. Like, oh snap. And so it's like, it's almost like we're conditioned, especially in this American society, to be like driven toward the edge of depression. You know what I mean? So it's just depending on how we deal with it. We have people like you and me, you know what I'm saying? We have a click tight relationship to where, sometimes I don't say kind of what I'm going through, but when I'm kind of going through it, I'm letting you know. Pretty much I'm letting you know, because like, okay, just look out for your boy. Right. You know what I'm saying? Check on me every few days or something like that.
I mean, and if nothing else, if I can't do nothing else, I can pray for you, nigga. Like, if I can't do nothing else, I can do that.
Yeah.
And I will do that. Right. Like, I'll stop doing what I'm doing.
You will. And so, and that stuff matters, because it's like I said, man, we keep on living. We both pretty much, you went from 0 to almost 9. like this, you know quickly. What I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm in 4. Obviously you put the spouses in there too, because they're not children, but being a man of the household, you are over them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, not only you got the children, you have your spouse or your wife in order to listen and to provide and to, direct your household however you go. So not only you talking about your kids, you really talking about your spouse, because under that covenant is what? It's God, it's the man, then the woman, you know what I mean? And so that's another layer when they talk about men, and then when you put it to another category, black men,
right?
You know what I mean? That's a whole nother level into where now, like, we need community. Like we've said a few times on this pod, like, this is therapy kind of in itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Talking through stuff, putting stuff out there. I know some people hit me up and tell me, like, we be telling some real stuff on here, and they appreciate, kind of the perspective that we give. And so it's like, but it depends on your circle, though. If you don't have a circle around you that's like, really going to pour into you, or be like, hey, are you good? I remember the time you came in the backyard, you was going through your situation. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you just came by, I think, after work or something like that. Yeah. And we was just rapping. You know what I mean? Like, we need, certain things like that in order to get through that.
Yeah.
To fight through it.
You know it was something serious, because I was still in the postal uniform.
Yeah.
and then, nigga, I was going through it so tough, I had to stop, because what was in my cup, and then it was kind of warm outside. It was
and
hot. It didn't even matter. Like, I'm sitting there it was hot. I'm sitting there like, hey, hot. Look, nigga, this what's going on.
Yeah.
It
was hot.
But yeah, man. I just think, again, and I was telling somebody this the other day, like, I said, how many times have you seen it? Because we talking about the comparison thing. Like, somebody, they not even checking for you. Soon as this chick started talking to, this dude, now all of a sudden, all your homegirls and stuff, they showing a little bit more cleavage. They bending over more.
Yeah.
They always speaking now.
Yeah.
Like, y'all wasn't saying nothing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? A couple of months ago, but then now that this person is talking to, you know, the other person is like, oh, now all of a sudden, but it's the comparison because what they're doing is, how come she talking to him? How come he get to talk to her? You know what I'm saying?
What did she do?
Right? Yeah, what did she do? Right?
Do?
I'm better looking than her. My hair real, hers ain't. You know, my titties bigger than hers. My booty bigger than hers. She ain't got no meat on her. She too, you know, she too fat. You like that? That's what they do. Or the dudes like, man, what he did? Like, this nigga ain't even got no money. Like he ain't even got no car. How he pull her?
I mean, let's speak on that because when it comes to stuff like that, and I've heard other women talking about, oh, how he downgrade. Like, you can look better than a woman, but it's about a man's peace. You feel me? A man want peace more than, like, if you look good, like if you have all the assets, that's fine. You know what I mean? But it's like, at the end of the day, you want peace. So you can look at on the surface and be like, oh, he downgraded, you know, from me, so and so. But it's like, no, he kind of upgraded because now I feel better about myself. I have more peace. I have, you know what I'm saying, time to do what I want to do. And so, but that's the, that's a whole nother subject.
I mean, that, like, I don't know that anything. I think the only time something is a downgrade when you really don't want to be with the person that you're with. If you really don't want to be with them, then you downgrade it.
If you faking in front.
Yeah. I mean, if it's somebody who don't matter what they look like, it don't matter what their job title is, it don't matter what their skill set is. If that's where you want to be, and to your point, if that's what brings you peace, that's not a downgrade. A downgrade is only when you willfully do something that you don't want to do just so you can say that you're doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Then you've downgraded. So, like, you could be with the baddest looking woman on the planet, but if that ain't really where you want to be and you just doing it to say, look at me, I got the baddest woman, you downgraded because you ain't even happy.
You there for
that will make you depressed.
Yo, yeah.
And that goes back to, like, the intuition thing. Like, man, you got all this intuition, but you don't know when your man is unhappy. You don't know when he's depressed. We didn't talk about this on this yet, but when we were talking about this particular episode, the fourth leading cause of death amongst men under the age of 6, and suicide is higher amongst men than women, but the fourth leading cause of death of men under the age of 65. You got heart disease is number 1. 2 and 3 are 2 types of cancers. I believe one of them is prostate. I believe prostate and colon, I think. But one of them is prostate. I can't remember the other one. Mm-hmm. I don't want to missay it, but I think it's colon cancer. But number 4 is suicide. Yep. So outside of a heart, and heart disease can be caused by depression.
Yep.
Cancer can also be caused by depression. Suicide and depression, they are twins. They go together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So essentially, all of the 4 things that kill men under the age of 65 can have either a direct or indirect link to depression.
No. That's crazy, yeah. Yeah, when you look at it, when you talk about cancer and all this stuff, like all this stuff, from, like chemicals from the brain and how you think about something can trigger different thoughts, and then those thoughts can bring up different other things that make you feel in a bad mood, and you know,
tumors and ulcers,
and so then that can lead to like, and then you just feel bad. It's like I said, when you look at the string, I'm always about the domino effect. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You look at certain things that, you know, this is the origin of it, but then the domino effects into this, and it goes into that, and it goes into, you know, X, Y, and Z. And so, yeah, to me, it's like, when I think about, like, what can we do to get away from depression? You know what I mean? What can we do to kind of, like, fight it? You know what I'm saying? To your view. You know what I mean? Like,
you sent me something interesting. I looked up, I watched it. It was the couple that were talking about having a conversation about therapy and getting knowledge of the self.
Wow.
And how the wife was saying knowledge of self should lead you to the knowledge of God. And so she was like, okay, well, if I go to therapy or whatever, they're going to tell me some things. They're going to reveal some things to me about myself. But she said, what I learned when I was going through it is that, okay, I need, I need the Lord. I need you. Like that is what that led her to. You know what I'm saying? And so I think a lot of times when you get that, and she talked about, but just deeper than just, because a lot of times when people say that, people think church. Not anything against church,
right? Yeah.
But she talked about the relationship. She talked about worship. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times, even when we talk about people that's in the clergy, you get so caught up in the repetition and the pattern. And I know you kind of was behind the curtain for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I like, nigga, I was, I had got initiated. You know what I'm saying? But like.
Yeah.
It was like, man, you can get so caught up in Sunday, I got to be here and do this. Monday, we got prayer. Wednesday, we got this particular thing. I got to come Friday for this particular Bible study. And if I'm not, working daytime, I'm going to come in the daytime and get the daytime nugget.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Saturday, if it ain't men's fellowship, it's outreach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's the prison ministry. Like, you
Prayer
get
drive.
so caught up, right?
Yeah.
You get so caught up in the routine of it. You're thinking like, okay, well, I don't have to.
Yeah.
I just sat through Bible study. I ain't got to read the word today. I just was in Bible study with Doc. He taught a good Bible study lesson. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I ain't got to praise and worship today. I just went to church. You know what I'm saying? We had praise and worship.
Yeah.
The church was, oh, I'm good. We had prayer on Monday.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, Tuesday. We had Tuesday night Bible study, Tuesday night nugget. I'm good. Oh, Wednesday Bible study, and I was served. Like you tell yourself these things, and you get so caught up in the routine of it that when life start throwing those blows, you wondering why. Because I'm at church all the time.
See, I look at that as it's crazy you bring that up because I was, kind of in my word or whatever, and that's spiritual sleepwalking. You know what I'm saying? To a degree, when I'm saying spiritual sleepwalking, that's like you're routining, you're doing certain stuff just like when you sleepwalking, like you just doing whatever. Oh, we got church this day. I'm gonna be at church. But you're not listening. You're not, you know what I'm saying, open to hear kind of what's going on. And when like, no, chill out. No, you don't need to go tonight. No, you need to stay home. No, you just need to. Don't read scripture. Just sit still. You know what I'm saying? Don't do nothing. Just sit still. Like, and we have a lot of that today. What I call spiritual sleepwalking is just like it's checking a box. Oh, I went to church Sunday. Oh, I went to church Wednesday. Oh, I went to church on Friday. You know what I'm saying? It's like you checking the box, and you just like, oh, when did you go to church? When the last time you been to church? You know what I'm saying? And you're not. Sunday is practice, bro. You know what I'm saying? Practice. Monday through Saturday, that's the game. The goal in life is to win the game. And the game is Monday through Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Like Sunday is practice when we get together, we do woo woo woo. Like I'm for going to church, don't get me wrong, but I'm trying to live it. I'm not trying to just check a box and be like, oh, I go to this church, I got a membership. Like membership is cool, don't get me wrong. We just recently joined the church. But the thing is, I told even Rachel, I ain't gonna be there every Sunday. I ain't gonna be there every Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that doesn't say my commitment to a community. That's just saying that I'm not gonna be like I got to go to this routine every day, every time, and not really like take time to live, take time to enjoy my kids, take time to enjoy my wife, take time just to do nothing. I'm just gonna watch the game. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So it's like. The point of checking a box and doing something, to me, that also I think can lead to depression because you're not fulfilling what you think you're fulfilling in doing that.
Well, so I look at it like, and I was telling the older kids this. It's like when you playing 2K. If you ever had done the creative player on 2K,
Yeah.
Like, you get the least amount of skill points in the actual game. In between the games, they got a thing where you can practice in the gym by yourself. You do certain drills.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get more points doing that. They got another thing where you go to like a little workout facility. You know what I'm saying? You can do the little weightlifting. You can do the little track thing. You get more points doing that. They got other stuff where you go to the park and you can play online. You can play in the park, play versus other players. You get more points in doing that. And then so when you actually get in the game, you're better. You probably remember this playing tennis. Like, you had practice all the time, but you didn't get better going to practice. Practice was you developing camaraderie with your teammates, having a game plan, a strategy, preparing for the next match, the next tournament. You got better on them Saturday mornings when you was out there at Raleigh Community Center
training.
You know what I'm saying? Training when you out there running.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You on the tennis court, kind of doing the lateral moves. You know what I'm saying? Doing different drills to work on your footwork. You know what I'm saying? Whether you was lifting weights or doing push-ups or whatever you were doing to strengthen your body. That so when you got in the game, you were more effective. And so I think, to your point, we look at, okay, well, I go Sunday, well, that's practice. I go Wednesday, that's practice. I go to prayer, that's practice. But the game ain't, it is Monday through Saturday, but a little bit more specific. The game is when you at work and you got that asshole boss. That's the game. But if all I did was go to church on Sunday, I'm not ready. If I didn't get up Monday morning and spend time, if I didn't meditate in that word, if I didn't thank him for waking me up this morning, if I didn't thank him for the job. So now if I'm thankful for the job and I'm thanking him for the job and I'm thanking him for being able to feed my family and to pay my bills and everything like that, when I deal with that asshole boss or supervisor, guess what? I'm grateful. I'm thankful because I've already, I got in the gym by myself.
By yourself.
You see what I'm saying? I was getting up shots when wasn't nobody else in there. I was running lines when wasn't nobody else in there. I was lifting weights. After practice, I was lifting weights. So now when I get in a situation where I'm tested, when you in a relationship with somebody and they tripping, you won't react like our boy did, throwing vases and walking down the hallway in the bathtub. You know what I'm saying? You won't get accused like our other homeboy being real good with some Ginsu knives. Like, you're already prepared because you were in that situation, in that space where, because you have a relationship, now you're looking at life and situations differently. But to your point, a lot of us just check off a box.
Check a box.
But that you going and listening to Pastor preach on Sunday and sitting up listening to the choir sing, and you just sitting there with your eyes closed and letting them do it for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't gonna help you out when somebody cuts you off in traffic and they pull over and you got an opportunity. You see what I'm saying? Or your significant other's tripping and they want to lay hands on you. You got an opportunity to do the right thing on the wrong thing. Your kids get out of line and you got an opportunity to cross the line and go too far, or to do it, at the line to give righteous discipline. You see what I'm saying? But if you haven't been preparing yourself, when you get in those situations, 9 times out of 10, your reaction is going to be wrong. And then to the point of even what we're talking about, when you fail in those situations, the failure of those situations will cause you to look at yourself. What am I doing wrong? How am I missing it? Why am I not good enough? Why is it every time it seems like I just keep running into a wall? And that goes back into that depression piece.
Nah, it's the same thing. Like, it's when you, that was pretty big for me, just because a lot of times we can kind of get in the routine of doing certain things, and really do it just to be like, we do that. You know what I'm saying? We do this, we do certain things, you know what I'm saying, to, like I say, to check a box, or to, and honestly, if you dig down even deeper into it, so we can feel better about ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Feel better about ourselves, but it's the real things in life. It's the real things that you talk about. I think I put a post up about my 7-year-old Tobias. You know what I'm saying? He told me, came actually up here. He was came to me and said, the good voice told me I need to clean my room up. You know what I'm saying? And da-da-da-da. Something that Malik told him a while ago. You know what I mean? Doing stuff like that.
Right.
Like, just, that's the work, bro. You know what I'm saying? And we ain't been to breath in a minute. You know what I mean? So, but he remembered that for whenever the last time he was in his presence to where, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the game, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what it's about. Not just, oh, Johnny goes to church 3 or 4 times a week. You know what I'm saying? Johnny has, you know, like, nah, man, like, what are we really trying to do? Because at the end of the day, we're trying to fight this thing. What we're talking about is depression, because it can hit all of us. It can hit little kids as well. You know what I mean? Like, little kids can feel a certain way. I put a thing out yesterday. EJ got into a little situation yesterday at the baseball. The Twins was playing, and he was over there playing football with some older kids. And I'm over there looking at the kids. Actually, Abby fell on the field. I had to go on the field, carry her out, and do stuff like that. I come back out. EJ over there, somebody crying. Some bigger kid that was 11, 12, 13 years old picked him up and pushed him down when they were playing football or whatever like that, right? And so it's a real teachable situation, kind of like what happened, what's going on, what do we need to do? You know what I'm saying? How do you need to, okay, let's navigate this. What did you do? You know what I'm saying? Okay, you were trying to take up for your friend. Okay, woo, you did good. You know what I mean? Like, okay, but you got to learn, like, if a kid 3 or 4 or 5 years older than you might not want to, you know what I'm saying?
Check your energy.
Yeah, you know, read the room a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's a teachable moment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To what we're saying is game time.
Right.
Not just going to church, be like, oh, Jesus is Lord. Like, it is, but it's like, how do I walk this out? What do I need to do, or what do I need to say in order for me to, you know, make this come to life to be real?
Yeah, I mean, I had opportunity. I was one of my sites I was at doing security. I ended up at Ridgecrest.
Oh wow!
And I was telling my partner I was working with, I said, "Bruh, I said if I never work at Ridgecrest again, I said I'm okay with that."
I bet.
It's just Ridgecrest a whole different. Like, if you ain't,
it's still like that.
And keep in mind keep in mind, like, before we moved to Raleigh, like, I was in South Memphis. Yeah. I'm in Lemoyne Garden. That's the area where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Yeah. You're on Saxon, like, that's where I'm, like, still to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Over by Pine Hill, Gaither, Preston, like, I'm familiar, you know, with that. But then we moved out to here. We saw Raleigh turn into Murder 8. You know, I used to mentor in Orange Mound. Yeah. So, like, I'm not a stranger to that. But it's just when you're not around it all the time, sometimes you can forget. So definitely, I had opportunity. I see some young cats, and man, they toting heavy. They not supposed to have. Got to tell them, like, hey, y'all got to leave out the property with that. Y'all can't have that. But I could have been real uber aggressive with it. But, like, that's what they used to. Yep. They ain't gonna respond to that.
Or they look. They respond to a different way.
Yeah, they respond to a way where now it goes another way. Yeah. So I was asking one of the cats, one of the young men, I'm like, man, how old are you? Like 19. I said, so you said you just got out? Oh, yes, sir. I said, so you trying to go back? Like, I said, man, look. I said, what's the definition of insanity? I said, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting something different to happen. I said, so now you just got out. I said, and you doing the same things that you was doing to got you put in. I said, what you think gonna happen different? I said, this movie only end one of two ways. And I said, I don't know what it is that made me come to say this to you. And it was him and another cat. I said, man, look, I don't know what it is about. I said, y'all got opportunity. I said, y'all can be better than y'all situation, or y'all can be just another name we see on social media. You can be another face on a T-shirt. You can have somebody, you know, tattoo your name on the wall or whatever, spray paint your name on the wall. If that's what you want, I said, keep doing exactly what you're doing. And they was really real live, kind of was like, now, whether they take that and do something with it, whether it don't hit for another 10, 15 years, they may go crash out and do something stupid next week. But I had an opportunity. And we talk about the game. Once I put it out there, what you do with it, it ain't up to me no more.
Nope.
And I had to tell my homeboys, older guy than me, named Renardo, man. Shout out Renardo Baker. I don't know if you've seen around the city, he had that van, I Shall Live But Not Die. I Shall Live and Not Die. But I used to work with him out in the mound. But like he went through depression because from 2015 to like 2017, 18, man, we buried like 21 of our kids that we mentored. Died before the age of 21 and under, between 18 and 21. That's how old they were. 21 of them. Another 20 of them in jail right now. And these are kids we used to drop off right around him, and he was real live going through it because he's like, man, I'm giving my life. I'm giving my testimony. Matter of fact, you remember St. Nardo? We met and had the CD. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So, but he was like, man, I'm giving my life. Gave my testimony. I used to be out here in the streets, and they still crashing out. I said, Nardo, you can't carry that. No, your job was to be prepared for the game.
Right.
When you had opportunity to sow into their life, to give them the word, to get them the game, to get them out, that's what you were supposed to do. Now, whether they take it and do something with it, or they take it and kind of throw it away, that's on them at that point.
Yeah.
All you can do is, like, to your point, man, you be ready and prepared, so when you in the game situation, you ain't looking stupid or you ain't scared or intimidated. You know, I couldn't be too scared to say something to them cats.
Right.
Because that may have been the catalyst for changing them.
Right.
But if I'm in fear, I ain't going to say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm going to be so focused on I got to be all aggressive, I can't speak life to them.
Yeah. Because that's another point to where I done got over that a while ago, because before you can feel a certain way, just say, the Holy Spirit tell you like to go tell this person this or say something like that. Mm-hmm. It's like you do that, but you don't carry the burden of seeing a result that you think you should see coming from that. You know what I'm saying? Because they may reject it in that moment, but it may come back to their remembrance weeks later, months later, or years later. Oh, that guy at Walmart, he did say this to me a minute ago, but I didn't realize, what it meant or what, what I need to do until now. And so it's like, yeah, if you carry that burden, bro, again, that can lead you down to that depression or going somewhere where you don't need to go, when in reality, all you need to do is give your knowledge, give your wisdom in whatever capacity that you need to, and then allow whatever's going to happen, let it happen. Because you can't necessarily force it. Because if you, like I said, you've been a teacher, you've been a mentor, and still mentors and stuff like that. And so it's like all you can do is give your knowledge, give your wisdom, and then allow the rest be the rest.
I mean, and it's crazy because you don't know the impact you have on people. I was doing my mail route today. Now, again, when I was teaching, I was out in South Memphis. I'm at the route part of the route that I do. I deliver to the Sonic over there on Houston Levy, Macon and Houston Levy. It's right across the street from where that Kroger is and Zaxby's and all that.
Yeah. Over there by World Country Club.
Yeah. Matter of fact, right on that same side, right? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I'm taking the mail in, and normally I take it all the way up to the door. But occasionally one of the car hops will see me walking up and they'll get it. So I'm walking up, I see this young lady, and I kind of wave her like, hey, got y'all's mail. So when I hand her the mail, she stopped me and she was like, Mr. Ragland? I was like, yeah. So now I'm looking at her like, okay, you look familiar. Yeah. And she said, I'm like, oh, shoot, you was one of my, like, I taught her brother and her, you know what I'm saying, at the school. And so she's like, man, what are you doing out here? Like, I just graduated. Like, I work here and everything like that. She was like, you're not teaching no more? I'm like, no. And she just like, why not? You're not at the school? Like, and she just shook her head like, I know they miss you. I'm like, yeah, I hadn't been there in almost 6 years, like, and she just couldn't believe it. Mm-hmm. But the reason she was doing it is because in her mind, she remembers the impact that I made in her brother's life. She remembers the impact that I made in her life. And so she just could not see a world where I'm not, like, other kids are missing out. If Mr. Ragland ain't there, there's other kids missing out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And again, it goes back to
game time.
Game time, and we don't have control over who we impacting.
Yeah.
And she was, I didn't really have no like I spent more time with her brother because she was low maintenance. She did what she's supposed to do, but you still don't realize you're making a difference in somebody's life, even though it's like, oh, this kid I don't have to do too much to. I speak to them nice too, but they don't give me no problems, but you don't realize you impacting that person just like you impacting the person that you got to always, be on their back and be in their ear. Like sometimes it's the person just watching you from across the room, and you're impacting them just as much, if not more.
Yeah. Nah, you preaching right there, bro. Cause that's what it's about, man. At the end of the day, it's about compartmentalizing the different areas in your life to bring some practicality, kind of to it. Because on one side, like we're saying, we don't want to be like in a routine to where it's just everything is kind of autopilot. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? To autopilot to a degree to where you're not even thinking or listening or hearing anything. All you're doing is just doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're not being in real time doing that stuff. So, but for anybody that's going through any type of depression or anything like that, like, all I can say is, reach out to, whoever that's in your circle, or what we say sometimes, reach out to your strong friends. Right. Cause we're both kind of the strong friend, because I know people reach out to him and some people reach out to me. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, sometimes we can forget about each other, but, reach out. Or at the end of the day, I know a lot of people like to reach out on social media and do them victim posts and do stuff that. If that's your lane, do it. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? If that's the way that you can call out for help, kind of do that. But whatever that is, I know it's a real thing. But our prayers, and I know my prayers for sure, go out to anybody. Or if at the end of the day, if you put a comment under this post, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever, you know what I'm saying, we can reach out or do whatever, because at the end of the day, we all in this thing together.
I mean, and I'll say how you talked about the victim thing. Like, I'm real big about accountability and responsibility. So, like, when I talked about everything I went through in 2008, like, the easiest thing for me to get over was the self-inflicted wound of my whole marriage situation.
Yeah.
Because wise counsel and elders and everybody else was like, hey, this ain't it. This ain't the situation. Yeah. Y'all ain't on the same page. Like, save yourself some heartache and heartbreak. And my ego was like, I've been trained the right way. I've been taught the right way. I had good examples. So I'm going to be successful in this because I'm looking at all of y'all taught me and trained me. So if I implement the things that y'all taught me and trained me, I'm going to be okay. But once I accepted my accountability, like, I went through that. Part of the reason why I went through that is because I put myself in this situation. That's not an unexplainable situation. That's not a calamity or an accident. That's not some random happening. That was something that I was warned about, that I was given insight on, and I chose to go my own way anyway. Yeah. And so that particular thing, I was able to process and compartmentalize and deal with. It was the other stuff, the unexplainable stuff. And so I think sometimes when we talk about this type stuff, a lot of times people are going through stuff and they can't explain it. They don't know why they're going through it. They don't know why or how it happened.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And that's kind of more so, some of us, to your point, and you said this earlier, like 50 years ago, it wasn't that. You had to deal with it.
Yeah.
But if it was self-inflicted, you accepted responsibility. If it wasn't, you're like, this is my situation, and I gotta get through it.
Yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do, man. But yeah, man, I thought this was like real good. We continue to press on with that. And like I said, maybe at some later point we can get like a guest star, talk about that more in depth, maybe with like a professional or something like that, if need be. But you got anything else, Rad?
No.
Good.
They won.
Yeah. Y'all, until next time, continue with that executive mindset.
Most definitely keep it presidential.
Salute.
Arrivederci. Bow.